I think it's very important for us for a number of reasons. Firstly, because increasingly what we're looking for is obviously excellence in research and in teaching. It's very, very important in every sort of world-class university to make sure that both of those two things are perfectly aligned. And what we discovered here at Padova is we find the same thing, with the same kind of thinking. So when I was listening to the rector speaking earlier today, I started off by thinking, he's taken my speech, actually, because it's exactly what I was going to say myself. So firstly, it's about making sure that your teaching and your research are perfectly aligned. Secondly, it's about partnerships. Increasingly, a university is just an island unless it's connected in with all sorts of other universities, both nationally and internationally. None of us can be strong in absolutely everything. And so we need to find complementary partners to work with. And I think more than anything, one of the things that really attracted us to this is that we're dealing, obviously, with an academic in an academic way, but with real 21st century problems that universities should help to solve. And those are very important things. I think firstly, let me take food to start with. And I have to congratulate the organisers of this conference. It's always very important. The titles are very important in the same way as with books as well. You need to pick really interesting titles because everybody's interested in food and everybody's interested in health. So they're good titles to use. But in terms of food, of course, I mean, Australia, like Italy, is a massive food producer. And not only that, but also, I mean, I'm originally from Britain, a country with with a rather mixed culinary tradition, to say the least. But with Australia, the thing about Australia, especially with the huge amount of immigration it had from southern Europe, particularly from Italy and from Greece, and also the more recent Asian immigration, it's been extraordinary. There's a really, really strong food culture. And so therefore what you find within Australia is an interesting set of discussions. Not only is Australia a sort of food bowl for the area, and actually it's supplying lots and lots of food for all sorts of people in the Asian Pacific region, but also there's an interesting cultural take there as well. And what you have is that Australia in some respects is a great cultural melting pot. And of course one of the best ways that you see that reflected is actually in cuisine and also in terms of how people talk and think about food. And I think there's quite a similar thing that I've noticed here in terms of the same sort of emphasis. So that's the first thing. I think the second thing around health is that increasingly, especially in the medical world, we see that health is a societal problem. It's not just a medical thing. It's not something that's going to be solved with tablets, or there's no panacea for that. And actually, the medics and dietitians and people who produce food together, we need to make sure that our populations eat healthily, because we're living in a world now, a strange upside-down world, where basically it's the poor who are becoming increasingly overweight.
It certainly will. First of all, let me tell you that it's very rewarding to have such a strong initiative less than a year after the colleagues of Sydney visited Padova and our colleagues went to Sydney. It means that time to action is short. Time to action to take an important idea of collaboration with the leading university in the world to the point of having a solid initiative and I think a very innovative initiative. This has been very short. So the idea that today we have students participating in a course on a very important topic, a course that, as the colleague from Sydney mentioned, goes directly to the point, goes directly to one of the leading topics of our society, which is how food and health come together, how we can think of food as a determinant of the quality of life and the quality of our health. But if we want to trace this, we can go from the very beginning, from how food is produced, to the impact on human health. Well, we are convinced, and I would say we have been convinced for nearly 800 years that international connections between students of all over the world into a good university site is the strength of a university. Therefore, we need to have students here meeting each other and doing good education. If this is the point, and so the fact that Australian students are here is what we really needed to think that such an important initiative cannot happen once, but if it is successful, it needs to be the model also to identify a new university course, and a new university course that brings together agrarian and medicine, biology and economics, all the line that brings from understanding in detail production of nutrients and basics of medicines to the application. If this model, which is a very novel model, if you go around the world, you won't find many courses like this. If this model is successful, then what is more exciting than to let it become a full course, and a full course held together by the two universities. This is the aim.